Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. This is Smeezy MMA, and today we got a fun video on our hands where we're going to be predicting Paddy Pimblett against the top of the lightweight division in some of the most exciting matchups and recapping his recent performance at UFC 329 against this absolute lemon. So we're going to put Benoit in this category right here, which is the Paddy should win this matchup category. In a rematch, Paddy should win. But you never know. Benoit, the lemon Saint-Denis, might actually expect a front choke to come back his way when he's shooting in on a takedown with his neck wide fucking open. So as impressive as that performance was from Paddy Pimblett, and as much as I want to give him credit, part of me is just like, Benoit is just very retarded, which we knew going into it. But you kind of think that he'd factor into the game plan against a jiu-jitsu practitioner with good front chokes who jumps on bottom for guillotines to be practicing, to respond to these things, to expect these things, not shoot with your neck so wide open. Okay, I'm not claiming to be a black belt, but I think there's a decent amount of Twitter that can say that. So as dumb as that was, Paddy Pimblett was super impressive as well. Looked like that one Charles Oliveira finish. I'm forgetting his fucking opponent, but he's got super high-level jiu-jitsu. We knew this coming into the matchup. And for me, this singular performance didn't really teach me too much about Paddy Pimblett because I thought that he could do this. Fully thought that this would be the case. Part of me is just lower on Saint-Denis. It really makes me realize how retarded he is. And now in a rematch, a Saint-Denis, let's say he survives all the front chokes and he's actually expecting that because, I mean, who would do that? But let's say he actually does. Then that's a situation where he's probably finding takedowns, probably finding himself on top of a Paddy Pimblett. And if he's surviving the submissions, he's probably doing a little bit of damage on top, looking for submissions, and it's probably going to be going well. And then he's going to go for a rear naked choke or go for submission over position, end up on bottom, and just fucking retard max his way into a loss. I love Benoit. I actually think he's really fun to watch. He's just retarded. You know what I mean? I think I mentioned I did pick him. I thought he would be ready for the front chokes, and it would kind of play out in that way where he'd end up on top, make some mistakes, but ultimately, like, Paddy wouldn't be able to go 5 or 3 rounds of super high pace because with Benoit, you're operating at a super, super high pace. So kind of my idea was Benoit was going to get the grappling going. He was going to be threatening with the striking early, and it was going to turn into a sloppy fight late, and Benoit would edge it out. But if you go back and you rewatch what I said this is fraud versus fraud. This is a situation where I'm not going to play either side. But even though I'm picking Benoit, if a side has more value on it, it would be the Pimblett side. So, yeah. Once again, man, Paddy's a big name, though. So let's get into a potential rematch versus the toenail himself by the name of Justin Gaethje. And in a rematch, I think he should beat Paddy Pimblett. Some people would put him in confident. I would say should beat Paddy Pimblett. The reason why I say that is because Paddy Pimblett just did not shoot takedowns early against a Justin Gaethje. And if I was Paddy Pimblett, I would probably shoot takedowns early against Justin Gaethje. That's where his biggest advantage is. He has very, very high-level jiu-jitsu. And Justin Gaethje's takedown defense, to me, still isn't all that proven. I know he's had so much recent success, looked great as of lately, but still, dude, a good wrestler definitely can get him down and have success, like potentially Charles Oliveira, like an Arman Tsarukyan. I think Ilia Topuria might win a rematch. I'd love to do a video on that if you guys are interested. I honestly think that there's at least 3, maybe 4 people that I would pick to beat Justin Gaethje right now. So that's a different take. But Paddy Pimblett would not be one of them, simply for the reason Justin Gaethje has his number on the feet. And while Paddy Pimblett has moments, that's not the reason why Justin Gaethje's not at confident. The reason is simply because I think Paddy Pimblett would go much more all in to find these takedowns, and he has a very good chance of submitting Justin Gaethje early on. I picked Pimblett against Gaethje in that matchup. Wasn't confident. I actually bet the Gaethje side. So Paddy Pimblett becoming a lemon and taking a page out of Benoit's book actually benefited me. But Paddy Pimblett, I think in a rematch, just doesn't entertain the striking matchup as much and tries to force the takedowns in the offensive wrestling. So I don't know. Even then, though, like, I don't love Paddy Pimblett's offensive wrestling. And we're going to talk about that in this matchup against Max Holloway. Saturday night, baby. Saturday night came. Max Holloway beat Conor McGregor and had him weak in the knees, brother. Good old-fashioned Max Holloway. We're putting him here. Slight lean over Paddy Pimblett, okay? I think most people would say here or here. I'm putting him here. Max Holloway actually is the favorite if this fight were to happen. There were some odds that dropped where Max Holloway was minus 200, so that's something to note. I'm not someone that just glazes the bookmakers, though. Like, I had kind of thought this even right after the McGregor fight. Max Holloway, while he was taken down by Charles Oliveira, I'm going to put Charles Oliveira next, right down here, so I can talk about him and some of the parallels maybe of that potential matchup. But I think Charles Oliveira is a tougher matchup for a Max Holloway than a Paddy Pimblett. I think Charles Oliveira is a better striker. I think Charles Oliveira's offensive wrestling is his most underrated part of his game. And he's just more physically imposing than a Paddy Pimblett. And Paddy does have good power. His striking's still not that fucking precise. I'd say Charles's is more precise, more overall threatening on the feet. To me, Max Holloway's the better striker than a Paddy Pimblett. He has good takedown defense overall. I'm going to go to another tab right here. You can't see it. I'm going to try to find the stats of his overall takedown defense. While I'm doing that, actually, let me just do it right now. Okay, Max Holloway, overall takedown defense, 81%. One problem in his takedown defense that I do see, though, is he does like to turn his back and then try to separate the grip. And that's where someone like a Paddy Pimblett can capitalize. But to me, I see a Max Holloway surviving, I think, throughout a 5-round fight, unless Pimblett's able to Charles Oliveira Max and just control Max Holloway for, 90% of the fight. And I think, Max Holloway's cardio is going to carry well into a 5-round fight. Also, I guess I am kind of predicting these fights 3 versus 5. Like a 3-round fight definitely helps Paddy Pimblett. I could definitely see Paddy Pimblett winning that. But ultimately, it comes down to the fact that I don't trust Paddy Pimblett's offensive wrestling as much as a Charles Oliveira's. And I think Charles Oliveira's striking and his pressure sets it up a lot better than a Paddy Pimblett. And while Pimblett does have a good kicking game, he seems to get pressured a lot. And while he might be able to pressure a Max Holloway with the combination of his takedown threat and his striking, I don't know. I just slightly lean towards Max Holloway because of the cardio, because I know that he can survive. And even if you go through the tape, and by the way, I picked Charles Oliveira over Max Holloway, so that's something you can't say. I'm just a bigger believer in Charles Oliveira's overall wrestling in comparison to Paddy Pimblett. So I'm not going to spend 20 minutes breaking down this matchup because it is, once again, a matchup that's not booked. So, I don't know. My take is I think Max should be able to keep this fight on the feet for at least like 3 of the rounds. Have success, probably hurt Paddy Pimblett. Fight smart. I think he's going to be drilling takedown defense as well. And while he didn't really succeed that much against Charles Oliveira, I think a lot of that has to do with it being Charles Oliveira. So, speaking of Charles Oliveira, I would put him in the should beat Paddy category. Okay? I think he's the better striker than Paddy Pimblett. Can he get hit? Yes. Can Paddy Pimblett crack? Yes, absolutely. But overall, I think Charles Oliveira is the better striker. And I think if he wants to wrestle and blob Max, smudge Max, he absolutely can do that. You know what I mean? To me, I think he can get Paddy Pimblett down. And when he is on top, I trust him to survive against Paddy Pimblett. And while Pimblett might be hard to control, I think Charles Oliveira with the takedown threat on the feet against a Paddy Pimblett, with the low kicks that he has, with the power that he has, with how hittable Paddy Pimblett is, I think he absolutely could KO a Paddy Pimblett. So maybe I'm reading that wrong. Maybe Paddy Pimblett finds takedowns of his own. Maybe Paddy Pimblett just fucking Charles Oliveira maxes Max Holloway. Maybe he submits Max Holloway early and makes me look stupid. Very, very possible. Once again, this was a pretty close prediction for me. But Max Holloway, he's a pretty technical fighter. As hittable as he is, I trust the power of a Charles Oliveira more than Paddy Pimblett. I trust the threat of a Charles Oliveira to pressure a guy like Max Holloway more than I trust it in a Paddy. Like Paddy could end up finding off the back foot, just looking for kicks, not finding takedowns. And overall, once again, I'm going to say it a lot throughout this video, I just don't love Paddy Pimblett's offensive wrestling all that much. And I think he is very hittable on the feet. And while I may be underrating him a little bit on the feet, I do think, yes, he has success against Gaethje. Yes, he is powerful. Yes, he can find success and hurt Max Holloway with the takedown threat alone. I still would lean towards Max Holloway. Once again, Charles Oliveira has tools from range, has a good kicking game of his own, will rip to the body with those kicks. He's got the better clinch work between him and Pimblett. He has the better offensive wrestling. When it comes to the jiu-jitsu, it's probably pretty close. And that, to me, is going to favor the wrestler as the overall better grappler. To me, I'm leaning towards Charles Oliveira. But when this fight does happen, if it does happen, there's going to be so many moments where it looks like Paddy can have this moment where he's catching Oliveira in the pocket. Just overall, it's like Oliveira's got good chin recovery, while Pimblett does have the better chin, and that can be your argument for picking a guy like Paddy Pimblett. I also would say he's extremely hittable, and Charles Oliveira absolutely can KO him. And just with the wrestling in the back pocket, I'll put him here. I'll put him lower tier towards here. You know what I mean? I'll put Gaethje a little bit higher. Moving on to Yair Rodriguez. Okay, you guys probably know where this is going. Clearly beats Paddy Pimblett. Just kidding. Fuck Yair Rodriguez. I do not like this guy. Not a big fan of him. But bias aside, I think Paddy Pimblett should beat him. Paddy Pimblett is very dangerous on the feet. He's probably gonna pressure a guy like Yair Rodriguez. And Yair Rodriguez is moving up to the lightweight division, in case you didn't know. That's why I kind of put him here, because let's say Yair comes off a win. That could be a situation where they might book that fight. I don't know. Maybe that fight happens down the line. I just kind of put him here because I was just fucking putting guys up here. Paddy Pimblett should be able to take him down. Brian Ortega got it done. Brian Ortega's offensive wrestling isn't that good. Pimblett is a lot more physically imposing than Ortega. They both have good chins. Pimblett has more power on the feet. I'll say that much. He's more threatening on the feet, which will also set up his takedown threat. To me, he should take down Yair Rodriguez and submit him pretty early. So Paddy should win. Can Yair win? Yes. He's probably going to be at the lowest of this tier. You know what I mean? This is confidence level. Benoit being at the front of this tier means I'm more confident in Benoit's chance over Paddy than a Yair Rodriguez, meaning he has the worst chance. So, yeah, Yair probably gets submitted early. Arman Tsarukyan, interesting one. Boom. We're putting him there. I think he's a confident pick over Paddy Pimblett for me. Kind of similar to the Charles Oliveira situation. On the feet, Arman Tsarukyan might not get the same respect as a Charles Oliveira, and maybe the kicking game for Paddy has a lot of success. But if there's a guy you're not going to submit with the front choke because he's not lemon maxing like Benoit, and he's going to find the takedown and control you on top, it's going to be an Arman Tsarukyan. You know what I mean? He had great takedown defense against Mateusz Gamrot. I don't think that Paddy Pimblett's going to be finding takedowns on him. On the feet, Arman's probably the better pure striker while he is hittable. And yes, he got hurt by Joaquim Silva. If we want to go bad moment for bad moment, you can find bad moments for every single fighter on here. Every single fighter on here. So to me, Arman finds the takedowns. He survives the submission game from Paddy Pimblett, as he's shown he can do against a Charles Oliveira. I think he's got better striking than a Paddy Pimblett. And Pimblett, while he might pressure and he definitely can find the shot, and he's more dangerous on the feet and arguably more dangerous on the ground, Arman Tsarukyan is going to make him pay while he's on top. So I'll go Arman Tsarukyan. I think confidently, like Arman Tsarukyan. I guess the one fallacy of this prediction, why am I trying to be all vocabulary fucking McGee over here? I guess the one like worry I have about this prediction is Arman Tsarukyan would go in just completely underrating Paddy Pimblett and maybe not giving his striking threat that much credit the way he would with the Charles Oliveira. So his game plan might be a little bit off, where he's just greedy maxing, trying to find a good performance. But I think that Arman Tsarukyan should win that. Confident, meaning over 75%. I'd give him probably like an 80% chance to beat Paddy, maybe a 75. Paddy could catch him in a sub. Paddy could catch him on the feet. Ultimately, I don't know. He's a good striker. He's got great wrestling. He will get Paddy down. He should be able to survive the subs. Yeah, that's the take. That's the take. And he's got better cardio. So moving on to Diego Lopes. Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen. This is an interesting one. It's going to be one of these two. Let me think through this because it's not like I've watched tape for the shit, to be honest with you guys. Once again, these are all early picks. I haven't watched tape. There's a very real world. Holy fuck, man. Very real world where I watch tape and I switch these picks, and I'm not feeling this way, I think he has the takedown defense to keep this on the feet. On the feet, he's got a good low kick. Paddy's got a good kicking game. Wow. I don't know how I feel about this one, dude. I really didn't think about this one at all. When they're trading in the pocket, who do I trust more? Diego's chin or Paddy's chin? Weirdly enough, I think it might be Diego's chin. Submission game. Who gets the wrestling going offensively? I don't know. I think this is a striking fight from range. I think that's what I'm doing. If I could do 50-50, I would do 50-50. Slight lean over Paddy. Is that retarded? I'm going to go on another tab right now and just think through his career because I feel very retarded for doing that pick right there. Who's a common opponent? Arnold Allen to Gene Silva to Diego Lopes. He's only lost to Volk, man. Only lost to Volk. He did good. Ortega sucks. John Silva is good. Obviously, that was a little bit of a fluke win. Volk obviously beat him, but Volk's better than Pimblett. Different stylistic matchup. But this is a striking matchup, which I'm kind of thinking it would be. I think I lean Diego Lopes, dude. I kind of believe in Diego Lopes at lightweight a little bit because he will trade and potentially catch fighters. And ultimately, I think I just trust Diego Lopes' cardio a little bit more. And while Pimblett might have success with the kicking game, and that might be all he needs, I think this fight takes place on the feet. Am I wrong for saying that? I don't fucking know, dude. I hate this, actually. I wish I did a 50-50 tier list now. Should I add that? No, I'm not going to add that. I might add that. We're going to do Dan Hooker next. I need more breakdown on this. We're going to pull him back down. Give me a sec. I'm going to think about this one later in the video. Dan Hooker versus a Paddy Pimblett. I think I'd slightly lean towards Paddy Pimblett. As much of a hater as I am of Paddy Pimblett's offensive wrestling, it's more of just like I don't believe in it. I do think that, he's got threat on the feet, while Dan Hooker absolutely can win that. And I know 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, but Dan Hooker made Benoit look. Actually, dude, Benoit struggled with Dan Hooker. You know what I mean? It's kind of one of those things where it's like, all right, on the feet, Dan Hooker's probably a problem for Pimblett. Hooker's taken a lot of damage, a lot of injuries. I think that Pimblett could shoot into takedowns, and this is the kind of guy that he can shoot in on the takedown, fail against, and scramble over, get the back. And this kind of feels like one that Dan Hooker would win. I think this is close to 50-50 matchup too. I'd slightly lean towards Paddy though. I honestly would because he definitely can catch Hooker in a sub, who has good sub defense. But I don't know. I definitely could see Paddy just trading a little bit wild on the feet, ducking under into a clinch, fighting some sort of a judo throw, or just getting around to the back of Dan Hooker, who also, from what I'm remembering right now, once again, haven't watched tape. Would need to go back and watch tape. But from what I remember, does like to turn his back to separate the grip, which will allow Paddy Pimblett to have moments where he's on top of, gets on his back. But dude, I thought I had Gamrot on this tier list, dude. Man, fuck me. Man, damn. All right, my bad, guys. Rafael Fiziev. Interesting one. He's coming off a win over Manuel Torres. Only lost twice to Justin Gaethje up here. I would go slightly in over Paddy, and I'd put him more confident than a Max Holloway. Reason being, he's got good takedown defense. On the feet, could he get clipped? Absolutely, actually. Fuck, maybe I'm just 1A, 1Bing. I think he's precise. I think he would clip Paddy Pimblett multiple times. This is the kind of fight that if it gets booked, it's 3 rounds, 5 rounds. I don't know if that necessarily changes things. Both of them have cardio concerns, maybe more so Fiziev. I just think Fiziev keeps us on the feet. And on the feet, I think he's the better striker. And while Paddy Pimblett is physically imposing, does have good power, does have the takedown threat, and could scramble over and get the back, I'm trusting Fiziev. He's got stellar takedown defense. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. That's what I'm going to go with. Fiziev, I'm going to say decision. It's going to be hard for him to KO Paddy here, but he's a better striker. I think he stuffs the takedowns. I think he keeps it on the feet. Simple. He might have a great performance against Paddy Pimblett. That's just leaning lower tier here for my thoughts right now. I'm gonna keep him here. Okay. It is Fiziev. He is very hittable. Okay, boom. I feel fine with that. Ilia Topuria. There we go. Viva España. If you watch soccer, who do you got between France and Spain? Okay, I'm not the biggest soccer fan. I won't lie to you. But I'll bet on something like that when all the fans are involved. I'm going to put Ilia Topuria right here. I think he's a confident pick over Paddy, dude. I think he slimes out Paddy, man. I think he knocks him out early, dude. I understand Paddy Pimblett has the kicking game. I understand Paddy Pimblett has a good submission game. My take on this, I think this is going to be a good way to put this. And I understand the frame disadvantage that Ilia Topuria is at. Maybe just doesn't deal well with lightweights. While that is all true, Ilia Topuria, to me, his jiu-jitsu is closer to Paddy Pimblett's jiu-jitsu than Paddy Pimblett's striking is to Ilia Topuria's striking. And probably the same deal with the wrestling, where Ilia Topuria's jiu-jitsu is closer to the level of jiu-jitsu of Paddy Pimblett than Paddy Pimblett's wrestling is to Ilia Topuria's wrestling. That might be a little bit of a hot take. Ilia Topuria is a great wrestler. Wrestling. He is. I'm gonna get Gamrot on this tier list, by the way. Don't worry. We're gonna get that done. I'll download an image, little side quest. But I think Ilia Topuria stuffs the takedowns coming his way. I think he's the better striker. I think Paddy is extremely hittable. I still think Ilia Topuria knocks him out early, even if he overestimates him the way he did against Justin Gaethje. I think he would beat Gaethje in a rematch. I have a lot of takes about this beautiful gentleman and him coming back and potentially beating Arman Tsarukyan. But that's a much closer prediction. And that's a long ways away. But that'd be fucking sick, man. Once again, still super high on Ilia Topuria. Gaethje had his moments, absolutely. Ilia Topuria is still extremely dangerous. Paddy Pimblett, while he does have a good chin, has not faced the power of an Ilia Topuria. Has not faced the guy that's potentially the better overall grappler with the striking level of Ilia Topuria. You guys know who Ilia Topuria is, so I'm not going to act like you're dumb. I know that you know that he's taken a lot of damage. I think this is the next matchup that we do see, by the way. While Paddy will probably be looking good with his kicks early, he might throw a high. His best chance is that high kick, probably, right? Maybe he catches him in a sub when he shoots in on a bad takedown. Maybe Ilia just Benoit maxes. I don't think he would, though. I think Ilia at this point is less likely to underestimate Ilia Topuria. No, fucking hell, dude. I can't talk, man. Fuck, man. Holy fuck, man. I think he's less likely to underestimate a Paddy Pimblett at this point now that he's got the submission victory over Benoit early on. And that was such a good performance from a Paddy Pimblett, even though this guy's a fucking lemon once again. I think Ilia keeps it on the feet. I think the boxing, pressure-heavy style, while Paddy Pimblett will be looking good, he'll be scoring early, potentially up. Until he's not, he's going to get clipped in the feet the same way Justin Gaethje clipped Paddy Pimblett. And I think Ilia has better power. I think he has better combinations. I think he KOs Paddy Pimblett in the first 1 or 2 rounds. And even if he doesn't, he probably wins by decision. He can wrestle Paddy Pimblett and probably survive on top as well. Okay? So, confident pick. I'm putting him here. Am I more confident against Arman Tsarukyan? No, just because he is coming off a lot of damage. And the length of Paddy Pimblett, the frame of Paddy Pimblett, and the danger of Paddy Pimblett, overall the power, does make me a little bit nervous. But both these guys are confident picks. I would say above 75% in my head, maybe right around there. 70% though, and over is like pretty much confident pick. So anyone that's a 70% chance or over will find themselves in this tier. Mauricio Hufi, very, very interesting matchup. On one hand, Mauricio Hufi gets taken down and submitted by Benoit Saint-Denis. And I thought Benoit looked like shit in that fight. I said that in my prediction. You can go back and rewatch that. You probably don't need to though. I probably referenced that prediction enough. But I did say that I thought Benoit didn't even look good in that performance and Hufi should have won, which would make me want to put him here. But Hufi's good, man. He is good. I'm putting him in a slight lean over Paddy. I know some people put him here. Boom, boom. But Mauricio Rufy, to me, is the type of guy that will actually improve his takedown defense and then just turn his back immediately, try to separate the grip, that type of sort of thing. And then Paddy Pimblett climbs the back, gets to a body triangle, gets the hooks in, and could find a sub. Like, this is actually a pretty interesting matchup. And with Mauricio Rufy being a little bit low output when someone's not pressuring him, and a lot of these shots that he's finding is from his counter ability, he's going to have to pressure forward on Paddy Pimblett. And while I think he will find the shot because it is Paddy Pimblett, and Pimblett is extremely hittable, and if you want to go 1A equals 1B and all this yada, yada, yada shit, then Mauricio Rufy might be a lock. But, dude, like, Benoit's getting this guy down. And while Benoit is a lot more threatening on the feet, a lot more threatening with the takedown threat, and has better overall wrestling, tougher to defend takedowns, I will say. Like, if you want to say Benoit's wrestling technique is not A1, I understand that. But I think overall Benoit's a more threatening guy in terms of taking you down and landing big strikes at the same time. While Paddy can do that, Paddy's a little bit more comfortable at range. And while Paddy can pressure, I don't think it's going to work to his favor. So I think we'll see kind of maybe the Rufy that's slowly pressuring, finding his moments, and then eventually pressures, looking for counters, kind of how he did against Chandler. And he finds a KO potentially early. Maybe round 2, hurts Pimblett a couple times. In a 5-round fight, though, it does get interesting, where Rufy has been slowed down before in that Yon Top fight. That was after he was beating his ass, though. So I go Rufy. I think Rufy's been improving. I think he's massively working on his takedown defense. He stuffed a lot of takedowns from Michael Chandler, but that's Michael Chandler. You know what I mean? Once again, I'm not high on the Pimblett offensive wrestling. It definitely can happen. It definitely can be there. But until I see those improvements, which was kind of why, even though I picked Benoit Saint-Denis, and I had no problem with Paddy Pimblett winning that fight outright, like, I really didn't care that much, slightly cheering for Benoit. I was pissed at how early that ended because I wanted to see some things from Paddy Pimblett. I wanted to see how he'd approach that fight, his game plan, this, that, the other. And once again, another reason why I'm putting Mauricio Rufy here is because you never know when Paddy Pimblett just wants to strike with someone because he thinks they're overrated in his own head. He's got a fucking dumb, I was going to say dumb. He's just a dumb person sometimes. You know what I mean? So that's a little bit of my rant. Mauricio Rufy, am I more confident in him winning as opposed to Max Holloway or Rafael Fiziev? I'd say I'm more confident in Fiziev. Am I more confident than a Max Holloway? No. I'd put him there. Slightly. You know, I would put him there. I think it's close. I think Rufy probably would be like a pretty decent favorite, but like stylistically, even though I think Rufy would be favored on the odds, like, this is a pretty close to 50-50 matchup just based off of what we know going in. And whoever wins probably looks really dominant doing that. And I completely understand. So we're going back to this. Oh, no, we're not on Diego Lopez. We're going to here, which is Quillan Salkield, mate. All right, this is Quillan Salkield's debut on the channel, so I have not talked about how I feel about Quillan Salkield. But to keep it pretty concise, I think he's fun to watch. I think he's a great personality. I have my questions with him, though. Okay? And I don't really know. Okay, I think I'm going to put him here. I think I would pick Paddy Pimblett over him. If there was a 50-50 matchup, like 50-50, I'd put him and I'd put Diego Lopez in it. We got Diego Lopez here. Slight lean for Paddy. Reason why I say this, even though this is kind of similar to the Benoit matchup, I think Salkield's power is maybe a little bit overrated. I think that Paddy Pimblett should be able to survive. And Salkield uses offensive wrestling to his advantage a lot of the times, and I think his boxing defense is not great. It really is not great. And when he's getting pressured, which I don't know if Paddy Pimblett's going to pressure, but Paddy Pimblett has a kicking game. Paddy Pimblett can't find big shots and hurt Salkield on the feet, even though Salkield is the better striker. I think Salkield's striking is overall just being very, very overrated, and everyone's jumping the gun when we're seeing him beat pretty bad fighters. Let me try to find the resume here. Give me a button here. All right, Charles to Dariush to Quillan Salkield. I'm on his resume on another tab now. Okay, he's beaten Gaethje Young. It's actually a pretty good win. Arguably his best win, in my opinion. Gaethje Young is decent. Anshul Jubilee, dick. Yanal Ashmouz, dick. Hawk Pross, great win. Once again, maybe a little bit fluky. Very early finish. We don't learn too much about him. That's a great win, though. That actually is a great win. He was getting his takedown stuffed by Nasrat. Nasrat was looking... I mean, if you told me Nasrat was going to stuff the takedowns, this is going to be a striking matchup, I would pick Nasrat more times than not. And then Salkield lands that head kick KO. And as impressive as that is, I would have loved to see that fight play out for a round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds. I still have seen him. Even on the regional scene, I have my questions about him. Like, his boxing defense is a little bit questionable to me. Jamie Malarkey, not great, guys. There's a reason why that was a short notice replacement. Beneil Dariush, I want to say Quillen just filled in on short notice, but he got touched for a second. He got hurt a little bit by Dariush. Dariush finds some takedowns, and then Selkilled ends up KOing the ghost of Beneil Dariush. So I'm putting Quillen Selkilled here. I would like a 50-50 tier, actually. You know what? We're going to do that. We're going to do that. I'm sorry, guys. Add a row below. Kabuya. We're in. We're going 50-50s. 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 And we're putting Selkilled there. I don't know who I'd pick. Because here's the thing. You know, maybe this is just kind of me being a little bit scared to make this pick. I mean, a little bit of a bitch. If I had to lean somewhere, though, I'm leaning towards Paddy. I'm leaning towards Paddy. But Selkilled with this wrestling, when he shoots all these takedowns, watch that Gage Young fight. He finally gets in a good position, slides off the top. You know what I mean? Something feels like he would shoot in on Paddy Pimblett. And if he's not, he's purely striking against a Paddy Pimblett. Dude, I'm going here. I'm deleting this row. This is gay. This is actually fucking gay. You know, this is an early prediction. Who gives a fuck? If I watch tape and I flip my pick, you guys can't talk shit. I'm being a bitch. I would slightly lean towards Paddy right now if it was booked, right? Not knowing what happens in the Gamrot fight, I would slightly lean towards Paddy. The reason being, even when Selkilled shooting takedowns, and it almost seems like early on in his career, he's more comfortable with the grappling and the striking, and the striking's been doing its own thing, but he's going to look more powerful. He's going to look fantastic, like this fucking beautiful, sexy striker. And there's a lot of tools I love about Aquil and Selkilled. Switch stances, that teep up the middle is great. Pretty accurate, right? Good power. Sometimes his range management's a little bit off, and when he's getting pressured, that's where he gets clipped a lot against the cage. So maybe I'll talk more about this. Some people are convinced Selkilled's a champion. I'm a little bit skeptical, probably too skeptical. Let me see how long this video has been running for. 30 minutes. That's fair. That's actually fair. Okay, we're going to wrap this up real soon. But yeah, I kind of just think that even though Selkilled's the better striker, I trust Paddy Pimblett to survive against Selkilled. And Selkilled's great, fantastic power has been against shitty fighters, guys with not fantastic chins. He's been decision multiple times. He's landed clean shots against other fighters, and they weren't fucking going out. So I don't think it's a touch of death. I think it's good power, but I think Paddy Pimblett would survive on the feet. And just with Selkilled striking defense, I absolutely could see Paddy Pimblett have success on the feet. If not, he'll shoot into takedowns. And there's been multiple scrambles, not even just the Gage Young fight, throughout his career where Selkilled shooting a takedown, slides out the top, or gets into a bad position. I think Pimblett could catch him in a scramble. And like I said, I've been fading the Paddy Pimblett takedown defense. You can see with a lot of these fights, the way that I'm predicting them, even though I've been fading the Paddy Pimblett takedown defense, or takedown offense, like I think that Selkilled's the kind of guy that would shoot back into a Paddy Pimblett. He might just shoot outright into a Paddy Pimblett or clinch up and then do some weird stuff. Paddy Pimblett's got good judo. You know, this is a kind of situation where I'm not super high on Selkilled's cardio either. This is a high-paced fight and a 3-round fight. I don't know. I feel like Selkilled's going to do some weird shit, throw kicks, slip down, and Paddy Pimblett capitalizes on it. I think that's live. I think Pimblett could catch Selkilled's kicks. I don't know. Another thing I'm going to say is going to sound fucking stupid, but I've seen Selkilled play basketball with Jaden Cable, and holy shit, he just looks so unathletic, bro. So maybe that's why I'm picking Paddy Pimblett. But early lean, he's not proven. Beneil had moments. I don't think Beneil's that good. And while I'm not super high on Paddy, as you can see, more is proven about Paddy. Okay? And if Quillen goes out there, he stuffs the takedowns from a Mateusz Gamrot and knocks him out on the feet, I'm going to flip my tune about this guy immediately. But I don't know who I'm picking yet. I think that's a very interesting matchup to look at. That's all I'm going to say. In a 5-round fight, very interesting. Very interesting. So yeah, leaning for Paddy, slight lean. If there was a 50-50 tier, he'd probably go right around there. So, oh well. Diego Lopes. Okay, we're back to it. Early, I put him here. Let me think through this. I'm going to put him here. I don't know why. I have a bet. This feels like a dumb pick. I think I'm going to put him the lowest or low, but I think he keeps it on the feet. I think he's got a good low kick. I think he's better at trading in the pocket than a Paddy Pimblett. And more importantly, not only does he have a good chin, but he's going to be the quicker guy. You know what I mean? He's got the frame for a lightweight. I think he's going to add on more muscle, hit a little bit harder. He's got the submission game too. This one should take place on the feet. And while Pimblett has the better kicking game, but Pimblett has the better kicking game. Okay, this feels like a dumb pick. I'm going to load up Gamrot right here so I can get him into the tier list. Gamrot. I'm trying to think, dude. Like, is that a dumb pick? I mean, I gotta trust my fucking wings here. Oh shit. I don't know what you guys are seeing. All right. Boom. Gamrot's there. I think pull him back. I'm slightly leaning Mateusz Gamrot over Paddy. I think the reasoning being, while he can find the takedowns, we saw Charles Oliveira chain together submissions, end up on top in a 3-round fight, which if that fight's booked, it's probably 3 rounds. I think Paddy Pimblett would be able to threaten submissions end up on top at some point, create weird exchanges. That also does feel like a weird kind of fight in a 3-round fight where Paddy Pimblett clips a Mateusz Gamrot. Yes, Gamrot has the better cardio. Yes, he can just find a lot of takedowns and survives the submission threat from a Paddy. But unlike an Arman Tsarukyan, he doesn't have the same control. You know what I mean? He is not good at controlling fighters. Pimblett threatening submissions can make weird things happen. And not only that, we saw Charles Oliveira land a takedown on a Mateusz Gamrot. And Gamrot's potentially the type of guy that Paddy Pimblett could fail a takedown, scramble over to the back, get hooks in, body triangle, whatever else, and get into good positions that way. And Pimblett has power on the feet. So I would slightly lean towards Paddy. That also just feels like a matchup that, if it was booked, Mateusz Gamrot would somehow fuck up in a 3-round fight. So slight lean towards Paddy, even though Gamrot probably has good moments. I think the jiu-jitsu from Paddy would end up putting him in good light. So there's another guy. We're picking Paddy Pimblett over. Diego Lopes. Let me go into the other tab again real quick. I'm not putting him there. Let me get him off the screen. Hold up. This is such a pump fake. I'm sorry. I'm being a cunt. We're going back to the Lopes. How do we get there? Backwards. All right. You know, maybe just fuck me. Okay, we're not going to find it. Diego Lopes. Improved takedown defense. Featherweight. He's going to have good hands. His striking defense isn't great. He's a fucking dog, though. I trust his cardio more. I'm going to end up with him there. I'm not going to be too afraid to say that. I think it's kicking game versus kicking game. Diego's got a good calf kick of his own. I think he's got good pressure. I think he probably would be able to pressure Paddy Pimblett and catch him in certain exchanges. I trust him more in the pocket, and I think with him pressuring, being more aggressive, he would go into that fight probably looking to pressure Paddy Pimblett, and he would be able to. And I just don't trust Paddy Pimblett's striking defense. You know what I mean? I think he'd land good shots that would hurt Paddy Pimblett and then cause respect. So here's the tier list, man. Let me know what you guys think. Once again, let me try to situate this a little bit better. Yeah, okay. So most confident pick would be Arman Tsarukyan. I'm debating Topuria, but Topuria coming off damage. Fair. Gaethje over Pimblett. I've already seen Gaethje beat Pimblett. You know, Charles Oliveira definitely could get clipped in exchanges. Fiziev, I could see it here. I'm not going to, though. I'm going to keep Fiziev right here. Very susceptible to 1-2s from bigger opponents. Pimblett's a bigger opponent with good power. We'll keep him here. Max Holloway, I explained this. Higher than Roofy. Yeah, Roofy looked like shit against Benoit Saint-Denis. That fight still exists. I know some people would have Hoofy really high. I'd probably go back, rewatch a tape, and not put him here. You know what I mean? So fuck me. Diego Lopes, as low as it can get. So this is good. Mateusz Gamrot. Maybe Hooker goes up here. Maybe Hooker goes there. Dude, maybe Hooker goes here. Salkilde right here. Salkilde could go up too. Yeah, I think I'm going Salkilde at the top of this, actually. Just because the unknowns about Salkilde. No, I don't like that. These guys are interchangeable. Fuck it. I'm not going through all that. Yeah, you're at the bottom. Maybe down here. That's the tier list. That's a tier list. These three are interchangeable. Let me think about this. I know, who gives a fuck. Both these guys, slight lean in favor of Paddy. I'd probably feel... You know what? I'd probably put Salkilde here. Gamrot. 3-round fight. Yeah, I'd probably do this, actually. Weirdly enough, I think that Hooker could be problems. So that's the tier list. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you think I'm retarded. That's what I thought. Make sure to like and subscribe. Right now, we have 2 subscribers. Thank you to you 2 subscribers out there. But if you're watching this video, you made it this far, fucking leave some love for the kid, man. We're trying to keep this channel going. We got fight card predictions for UFC OKC coming out probably on Wednesday. I think Usman has a good chance. I don't think I'm picking him, but I think he's got a damn good chance. Make sure to tune into that. Let me know anything else you guys would like to see. I just love talking MMA. So, yeah. Leave a like, subscribe. Have a good one. Peace.